back to WGLNA. I'm Andre Greator Pengshua, joined alongside my good and probably only friend, Randall Root-Kilholm.
Only friend?
Only friend.
What about all of the guys in production?
Come on. You're my true friend. Of course, Clutch is one of my only friends too. I have a lot of only friends apparently.
Oh, okay. So you
know, it's I'm flipping. Let's go with that.
Okay.
Clutch will be back on Thursday, so you can definitely catch more of him then. But for now, we're gonna have more sweet WGLNA games. Yeah. We do want to remind you guys to join in the conversation on Facebook and Twitter, especially Twitter, twitter.com/WGLNA and facebook.com/WGLNA. We've been getting a lot of your tweets. We appreciate them. And be sure to tell us, who's your favorite team and why.
Yeah, exactly. The social media question of the day is what team will distinguish themselves from the crowd tonight and why. Some of you may not have heard that earlier. Now you've tuned in. You've seen Greetorp. You're a little confused why he's here.
Why am I
You've got
here?
this question of the day. You can tell us all about what team's going to distinguish themselves. I want to remind everyone, though, real quick. This is Greetorp. You commentated with us early on in the first few seasons.
Season 1, Season 2. Did I cast with you guys Season 3? I do not remember. Possibly.
For a little while.
Yeah.
You were there for a little while at Season 3. And I've just kind of been talking to you, off and on for a little while. You've been keeping up a little bit with the league. And Josh wasn't able to make it. We said, who do we call?
Josh went to Canada to slay some bears, apparently. He's like, I need to go bear wrestle some bears. I'm like, okay, Josh, whatever.
He told me he went to space to save a planet from a dying sun.
It's basically all the same.
Okay.
That's the story he probably told me is the Clark Kent story. And the story
it.
told you is the Superman story.
Okay,
that makes a lot more sense.
I think I get it.
But nevertheless, I'm really glad to be here, Randall, and hopefully I can have you in my establishment. I'm over in Las Vegas. I'm living there now.
What a lucky guy.
It's a good time, man.
Yeah? All right. Well, let's get to the match.
Yes. RUlette is our next team versus Victoria's Secret. Really, really cool matchup that we have coming here. RUlette, let's be honest, they've been on and off a little bit. They're 1-1, and we expected them to be maybe 10 million and 0, right?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, unreasonable amount of points.
Unreasonable, but, being the Season 4 champions, they should be the favorite going into Season 5. And right now, off the first week, they're not necessarily the favorite.
Exactly, and then Victoria's Secret, 0-2. Another rough start for them. We'll see if they can bring it back or if this is just like a few other teams. They're just figuring things out.
That being said, let's introduce our two spokesmen of the teams, Victoria's Secret and RUlette. What's up, guys?
What's up?
Hey.
Game is rigged, and Rummy. It's been a while. Rummy came out and joined us. Hey, how's it been?
Good.
Good. And then Game is rigged. How are you guys feeling today?
Pretty good. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, Elephant in the room right away. I mean, you guys are 1-1. What's the deal? What happened in week number 1?
Well, we didn't do as good as we expected to, but on the bright side, we can't possibly play any worse than we did. So
it only goes up, right?
Okay, fair enough. And then Rummy, Victoria's Secret has been having a lot of trouble this season, just starting out. What are you guys gonna do?
I think we started practicing a little late, honestly, for the season, and that's probably what hurt us.
So I think last season the theme of Victoria's Secret was roster problems, attendance, roster, couldn't get it together and get any kind of momentum. This season, it started practice late, but what else? There's got to be something else, because Victoria's Secret does not look as strong as any of us would have hoped after solidifying a roster.
We honestly didn't even start going over like strats and stuff, like really into it until last week. So it's just a late start. A lot of people were really busy right before the season started too. I think we got some people that are have finals now, and so we have people that aren't even around.
Gotcha. And that stuff happens, of course, and it's really unfortunate. But you guys have been a team, I would say, of very unorthodox strategies. I mean, even with the the practice that you guys have right now, as you're saying, you guys have some pretty well put together, like east side strats on cliffs that we saw last time around. You guys do just overall like very bold, audacious styles. Is that the type of style we're going to be seeing for the rest of the season, or is this just a experimental phase, as I've put it before?
We like to come up with new stuff, you know, and hopefully things that people haven't seen. So
Yeah. And just-
we're pretty good at, you know, coming up with just random stuff that works. But, you know, like I said, it's going to take time. I mean, we didn't really get started till last week, like I said, so.
Yeah, breaking the meta. I mean, it's really important to do that and keep everybody on their toes. I wish you guys a lot of luck, and of course, you guys over on RUlette. So before we go and step into game, do you guys have any words for each other, starting with the game is rigged?
Good luck, have fun, and we want Clench back.
Ouch.
Ouch.
I can't hear him at all.
And Rami, do you have any words for RUlette?
Just, you know, good game, hopefully. Hopefully it'll be close.
All right, bud. Thank you guys very much, and we'll catch you guys a little bit later. All right. Well, very soft-spoken guys.
Yeah,
But,
Rummy's a quiet guy.
Yeah.
He's a very calm, very quiet, very monotone kind of guy. He's chill, which is actually very good on a team. You
Sure.
want people who are even and not yelling and screaming and stuff like that, unless you have to yell and scream at your allies. Game is rigged. Handsome guy, too, right? I mean, look at that jawline. There's a reason he's in the intro.
Definitely. So, you know, I think like it's when we look on paper, still I'm putting RUlette obviously ahead because I mean Victoria's Secret. They even said they don't have their practice together just yet. It's hard to get people together, but you know, there's something to be said for the unorthodox type of play that goes on. Especially in the new format that we have. Assault mode makes a lot of things very complicated, and you could be in a situation where you just put RUlette in a very bad spot, and they just can't think straight.
Maybe. It's possible. Let's go ahead and look at the rosters real quick for RUlette and Victoria's Secret. Of course, they don't have a full 10 on RUlette. They just decide to go with 9. They've got Soviet, who's moved onto the team. We've got Vacuum Loves Taffy. Really confused by that name. It's really weird. Valera Desolator, you remember from last season. Kazo is a member who's been a T1 now going up. And from Victoria's Secret, they've solidified this roster. This should be what we see from the future here on out.
Yep. We're going to step into game, ladies and gentlemen, as it has started. It's going to be first map on Himmelsdorf.
All right, and now as I take a look at the tanks and people are loading in, we've got 3 5100s, 3 IS-3s, and a T-37 on either side. Now it does look like Yurkamolo has taken a moment to load in, but just at the last second he is in, so we won't have to go any kind of reset there. And opening moves with these mirror matchups. We've got a T-37 kind of running rogue, so I think following these for much of the match will tell us a lot about these teams' intentions and what they kind of want to get. It is odd, though, a scout on Himmelsdorf.
Yeah, we are seeing like very similar lineups, or not lineups, positioning actually out of the red team right now as we saw in our last series. But as it stands, a very different opening coming out from Victoria's Secret. They're like almost taking to their opponents, trying to line up on Tank Ellie and really shut that down. Floppy Giraffe out in the open. He does take he doesn't take any shots. There it is, 355 in that T-37.
And a T-37 shell right into his track. And the response from Victoria's Secret is they're going to set up. Their opponent is somewhat split right now. And Victoria's Secret will be looking to find some kind of advantage. I think they wanted RUlette to be slightly more advanced, more aggressively positioned.
Yeah, a Floppy Giraffe will go down. And it's not too bad. It is that T-57, so there still are 3 AMX 5100s and 3 IS-3s, but it is a little bit of advantage since
And
the
a press.
T-57.
And a press, that's going to be an attack by Victoria's Secret.
Yep.
They're going to decide to go down this
Wow.
8 line right through this choke. And it's... I don't really agree with this move. This might not turn out very well, especially if the response from RUlette is appropriate.
They have isolated Soviet, though. He's all the way over on the 3 line, so it's a good time to really isolate these tanks up here. One goes down, the AMX 5100 played by Disruption. He's going to move up here. Soviet tries to get a shot on him, but misses, and now he's up against Valera Desolator, but Tono is there to add that extra lane of crossfire. Are they going to be able to take out Tono in time? Looks like they will.
And there goes Disruption. They will lose 1 tank, but it looks like a huge advantage for Victoria's Secret right now. They they're able to just continually focus fire, but there are trades coming in. The damage dealt is starting to come back, and now Victoria's Secret is more points than RUlette is. However, those 5100s, Valera and Soviet, if they can get distance and get their reloads, there is the possibility for them. Also, take a look at that T-37, dealing a little bit of damage here.
Yeah, got a good 300 hit points of damage in there. That's a complete shell, so definitely helps out. As it stands, though, it is 3 tanks against 3 tanks, but one of the 3 tanks for RUlette is that T-37, which doesn't do a heck of a lot of damage. So Soviet's pretty low, and yeah, I know.
You'd be surprised. Did you see the qualifiers?
I didn't.
Okay, if you saw some of those qualifier matches, there was a time when a T-37 took out a 5100.
No,
alone.
Wow.
It was crazy.
That is crazy, actually.
Yes.
I mean,
it can do work. It has surprising damage output. It just needs a little more time to get some of that damage out.
Yep.
And here, T-37 doing more damage.
Yeah, and on that 5100, a very important tank is still 2 shots away from dying from like an IS-3 or 5100. But, you know, one more shot, and obviously he's going to be put into a very, very comfortable range. In the meantime, Soviet has moved all the way over to the west side. We have Valera Desolator that's just moving up here. Aren't they going to go for a cap? Or
that's what I'm waiting for.
I'm wondering like how they incorporate this T-37. Is it just going to be that tank that's going to get back shots the whole time and then the cap gets initiated? Or is he going to converge eventually?
I think the best thing is start the cap, force your opponent to move, do a little damage with the T-37, and then kite. Use some of that mobility with the 5100s and allow your T-37 to do as much as possible before you have to give that up and kind of move on out. Now it does look like they've escaped the T-37. Looks like Empro's not taking any fire. He does not see those guys getting out of position, which a little far away to be able to do that. And this, I think, is probably the best approach. Victoria's Secret is making a very intelligent decision, knowing that their opponent is covering the angles to the north. They know that those tanks will be coming in. Valera even is baited, I think, a little bit into doing that. And because they don't see anything, they do not know where their opponent is right now, they're getting spooked. And you can see them breaking apart. Intelligently, I think they're also guessing their opponent's approach, and they recognize that that was a weak point they hadn't quite accounted for or were unable to.
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, this is getting like very guerrilla tactic-y, right? I mean, both teams are just trying to make sure they're in cover, but Empro way out of position. Valera Desolator is going to get some great shots before the turret even turned. And if he just trades like this, Valera Desolator will most certainly be able to kill Empro before he gets killed. Down he goes.
There we go. That was a good trade. Good enough advantage. He loses some hit points, yes, but...
Oh, T-37, Yurkamolo is going to just back up here.
He jukes it. Shell by Tyler Durden towards the hill. He just goes back a little bit and goes right on over.
Oh! The T-37 is able to get the 5100 kill. Soviet's going to move in. He only is 1 shot away, or even maybe a ram away from dying here. But Valera Desolator is the one that's going to really be putting on the hurt while the IS-3 is reloading onto because he just killed Soviet. We're going to find out, though, in a little bit. Soviet doing some nice juke moves until he can kind of congregate all of his allied tanks.
I think Tyler Durden, yep, that is the right choice, I think. Move south. Yeah. Don't allow your opponents to get you all mixed up like this. Shot on the move only tracks him.
Very unfortunate. And Soviet's going to line up the shot. No, he's not going to be able to get that shot. Oh, he tracks the IS-3.
Not quite.
Immediately repaired.
Tyler actually tried to juke out of the way.
Oh, okay.
Never mind. And that's going to be it. That's RUlette taking it. There we go.
Yep. Very nicely played. A little bit scary in the beginning, but I have to say that not T-57, the T-37 really did a lot of damage there. Actually, let's go to your screen. Just see how much this little tiny tank did.
He does 1,210 damage in this battle, and excellently done. All of it starting right at the beginning during this fight. You can see it, the push in by Victoria's Secret. The moment I saw it, I said, this is not going to work. This isn't a situation you want to be in. You do not funnel all of your tanks into this tiny road and expect to come out on the other side with a huge advantage.
It sort of worked, though. I mean, there were a lot of tanks. There were about 2 tanks all the way on the west side being isolated, so it worked a little bit. I mean, they did come out with the tech advantage, and it was, I think, 3 or 4 tanks against 3 tanks.
Yes, but the damage dealt. You saw Soviet out there. He was maybe cut off in the event of it becoming a crazy brawl, a very tight one, but he was able to put shots onto tanks crossing the opening, the one open spot there. So I think it was Victoria's Secret could have come out ahead if they'd been more efficient. If they'd been more efficient with the focus fire, with everything else there, yeah, that could have worked. But I don't think that that kind of an approach is the smartest move.
So again, I'm going to go back to the meta switches because we've seen, a lot of teams just stay in the Northwest. And then, for instance, last time we saw Zone Delta, he was the only one that stayed in the center while everybody else was going out doing their own thing. I feel like if they caught Zone Delta by surprise somehow, it'd be crazy, but if they were able to do that, that's a big advantage. And I think that's the type of strategy that we've been seeing from Victoria's Secret. They're really trying to push that crazy meta, defend against everything because we're capable of anything.
Fair enough. I'll take that. I'll take that. And we'll see if they can continue seeing any kind of success or potentially finding some as we get into battle number 2. Tanks will be exactly the same again, mirror matchup, 3 5100s, 3 IS-3s, and a T-37 for both sides. They're opting to bring that extra IS-3 or extra 5100 depending on the way you look at it. And actually, wait, is this... I was talking about my ideal setup for this map earlier. Wasn't this what I said?
I think something.
I think
3 5100s, 3 IS-3s.
And a Tier 6, yeah.
Yeah, Tier 6, which is the T-37 that's just been playing so well. Tier 6 doing 1,200 damage. That's incredible. To me, that's just unbelievably good.
Taking advantage of your opportunities.
Yeah.
That's it. Now shots fired onto the hill. Little counter play here as that T-37 Yurkamolo is down to 273 hit points.
Fool me once. Fool me once. They're not going to let that T-37 go unabated anymore.
No. And now a Floppy Giraffe is in much the same situation, 293. And he may go down soon. This could be a trade out of the Tier 6s as they get a little bit too aggressive in the second battle between both teams running this lineup. I think they're both understanding each other a little bit more, getting used to each other, understanding how these light tanks are going to be utilized on the map, all of these things.
Well, and Floppy Giraffe is going to be walking into death.
Yeah.
Immediately gets shot by the 5100s. And I'm sure we're going to have a little bit of ceasefire as the 5100s probably are on reload. They just shot like twice each. They don't want to go into a battle with only 4 shells.
Exactly.
So they're going to reposition, and we already see that Victoria's Secret has kind of defended up and doing the more conventional Northwest type of strategy.
Yeah. I think that this is pretty normal from what you would expect if you lose light tanks like this, because both teams were so aggressive with them. And both teams were also so prepared for each other's light tanks. You have light tanks that effectively have gained you almost nothing. Now, the only gain is that Disruption has taken a single shell. And that is an advantage for RUlette. Victoria's Secret has gained almost no information that is noteworthy at this point, because the intel that they got from a Floppy Giraffe and the intel that RUlette got for RUlette with their T-37, sorry, it's lost. It means nothing, because both teams can move however they like now. They can be anywhere on the map. That intel means nothing. They've gotten no real damage leads. I think that this is both teams an example of them handling each other's scouts very well, and an example of both scouts taking the second battle, same side, same situation, same lineup, and not adapting their style to what their opponent will be doing to counter them out.
Yes. I
think
agree.
I covered it all pretty hard.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't really leave you much room for that.
No.
Open, closed book.
But in the same token, like, can't you just say, like, well, Victoria's Secret, it doesn't matter because they can always fall back on just a defensive play, and on Himmelsdorf, they're going to get an HP advantage on the entry of their opponents and kind of nullifying that advantage. I mean, it's arguable. I'm positive. But,
so you're saying that Victoria's Secret has an advantage because
I wouldn't say they have an advantage. It's just normally the defender's advantage is going to be much stronger coming out from Victoria's Secret, just because on Himmelsdorf it's just so enclosed. It's easy to just get all your shells on a single tank very quickly and have that burst damage from the IS-3s and the 5100s. just eliminate tanks immediately. But you know, one shot, I don't think it means nearly as much as opposed to a map like Prokhorovka or Steps.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think it's fairly even at that point. Then both teams are going to try and figure something out. You've got Topolim, is a really weird name. Some of these guys have those Cyrillic to Latin spellings, and that's why it's kind of difficult. So usually I have to ask every season.
All right. Oh, 5100s are going to pass. Will they be able to get there? Oh my gosh, not a single shot being pushed on them.
Victoria's Secret is moving their IS-3s around in circles right now, trying to figure out how they want to lay them out, what to expect. And it was at just the right time.
Wow.
For those guys to pass, and they didn't pay the toll.
No, not at all. And now there's actually a great concave coming in here. Disruption is going to move up to try to combat Soviet over here. That's getting that nice flank on the breast. And it looks like 4 tanks are going to push into this, but there are 4 different vectors of fire, and I don't know if this is going to be the best attack. Right now, Too Good is actually backing up, and he immediately dies, blocking and making the choke point a little bit smaller. This makes it so much easier. Now, Game is Rigged is going to push forward, and he's going to try to just eliminate absolutely everybody. Oh, he has an IS-3. I think 5100. But still, it's pretty considerable here.
Yep, that's it. Victoria's Secret not able to make this right defense, and with that, they run 1 by 1 into fire, and it's not going to work out for him. As you can see right now, RUlette is going to be stomping this time, absolutely decimating Victoria's Secret. This could actually be demoralizing as far as defeats go.
For sure.
You can't shrug this off, I think.
No. In the meantime, I mean, the north side was cleaned up. It looks like Soviet did fall. He had, it was a 2v1, but still, I mean, this is a very clear mistake coming out from Victoria's Secret, just charging in 4v5 in that situation. So they were charging into an overmatched situation, and there were 4 different vectors coming in from that the single space they were trying to attack. Really tough to deal with.
Yeah, this is not ideal. Victoria's Secret stopping
and
right there.
Yeah.
I think he was tracked actually the first time. He repairs it, tries to back up. No one was with him. Now you've got this corner game thing starting, but this corner game means nothing because you're still exposed to a number of the vectors of fire. It doesn't work out. This is Victoria's Secret. They missed the one window of opportunity for them to make RUlette pay.
Yeah.
You were talking about this. You were saying
5100's moving across. It's like you have to punish. You absolutely have to punish that movement because it's such a risky move. There's such a long time while those 5100s are just dead meat, honestly. They're just waiting to die, and we saw that in previous matches where they just get eaten alive.
Yeah, if Victoria's Secret is able to come off this, awesome for them. They've lost twice on the defense on Himmelsdorf, something that I don't think should happen from them. I think they should be able to execute that. That's something that...
on Himmelsdorf especially.
Yeah, it's one of those maps where that should not happen. The mistakes, they need to shrug these off because watching that, I think that was the kind of thing that if I was on that team, I would be livid with someone. I would probably, if I were sitting there, I'd just joined the team, I would be unhappy. I would be shaken up.
Mistakes definitely happen. It's unfortunate, but we're going to see if they can rally together. Remember, this is a team that is very clever. They like to really attack. They like to be creative with their attacks. So this is actually where I would say they flourish the most. Let's find out in battle number 3.
All right. Looking at the tanks, 3 5100s, 2 IS-3s, a Waffentrager, and a T-37 from Victoria's Secret. Does this remind you of another team?
Yeah. Last one.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And then hashtag, sorry, I just almost called them #you. They are now RUlette. RUlette will be bringing 3 5100s, 3 IS-3s, and a single T-37. So this lineup is exactly the same as what we saw from Fun Gaming. Either they're imitating this strategy or they find that it has enough merit to be used. Not sure which one yet. Let's see where Tyler Durden goes. I think this is. Yes, much exactly the same as Fun Gaming strategy. They're going to be sending Tyler Durden in that Waffentrager up and over the hill to escort him. He is M-Pro in the 5100, and they're going to try and snipe out the window in Alpha 4. Of course, I don't think that situation was going to come about.
Nope. It looks like they're just being very, 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 very west-sidey. They understand that, like, where do we want to put this Roomba, right? Where's the best situation if they're going to be attacking? And a lot of times it is going to be on that hill. You know, of course, it could be all the way on the west side, but they're going to overcommit to that side, try to get the 6 or 7 on whatever, and really take west side control. Or they protect themselves against the hill. So it makes a lot of sense.
Fair enough. Of course, the hill, I feel, goes to the south most of the time with the spawn position and everything. Yeah. It seems obvious that Victoria's Secret will be able to dominate the hill very, very easily. RUlette, if they wish to do that, is going to have a hard time.
No. I'm never saying they commit to the hill. I'm saying they're protecting themselves against the hill by going to the west side.
Kind of. You can actually get draw distance from the hill out to just, you know, that last row of buildings before you get to the tracks?
Yeah.
You can actually fire in there. Like, you can see it, you can target an enemy, and you can even make some good shots. That almost happened. Tyler almost connected with one of the 5100s going back. Just not quite.
Well, it looks like he is getting off the hill and now trying to reassess the situation. I'm interested to see how they really approach this. Now, they do have a very, very small hit point lead, getting a shot off on that T-37, but we've seen T-37s do an amazing amount of damage, especially by Yurkamolo. I mean, he's been just absolutely crushing it. And look at this, a big west side push coming out from RUlette. And they're the ones saying, hey, we want to take it to you. Will they actually strap onto the G line and try to put shells down there? Well, there's a big crossing. This is a potentially really good situation for RUlette.
And Too Good will take one shell. All right, that's a slight advantage. Some dude's going to attempt a cross, and he does, successfully. Now the follow-up, Rummy, Too Good, and Disruption are going to begin going across, and some dude tracked in the open has to burn his kit and will take more damage. He could even, yes, he does go down.
Some dude getting sniped by Soviet. This is a great, great start to the defenders. Victoria's Secret looking in a lot of trouble, but I think for them, they're saying, okay, well, we're down a tank. We have to press and try to cap or something and force an engagement. Unfortunately, Putin is sitting over in that really nice hold down position waiting for one of these tanks to approach. And this is going to be a great... is he in that? Yeah, he's in that corner. Mm-hmm. This is going to be a great way to just further their lead.
Yeah, Victoria's Secret, after losing some dude without enough of a response, they did get damage onto Toplum, but... Oh, and the game is rigged. That's not nearly enough. I mean, losing some dude like that, you're down just about 2K, like 1.5K hit points.
Yeah, I mean, it's a... Some would say it's a game-ending advantage right now. Like
it should be.
It's just an insurmountable lead, but you know, mistakes could definitely happen. We've seen it in the past.
And we've got on the hill, sorry, real quick, a T-37 1v1, where a Floppy Giraffe is taking on Yurkamolo. And because Yurkamolo is at half health, Floppy gets a slight advantage here, and he's going to be forced to back off. But this will pull Floppy away from the fight, and I think give even more of an advantage to RUlette. Because T-37's out of the fight, Victoria's Secret has now less resources to put towards this main engagement and attempt to overmatch something.
The attack has started right now as Tyler Durden finally moving up in his waffle tray, the waffle. But it's just great positioning coming out of RUlette. I mean, they know exactly where to position themselves. They know how to adjust to the attacks. The big D-line push is going to be stopped immediately, and the AMX 5100 being played by Rummy is going to be shut down very quickly.
Yeah, Rummy goes down. That's after M-Pro goes down as well. Now Toplim's going to go up against Disruption, and I think that's going to be a ram kill. Oh, only one damage dealt.
Close.
All right, well, he should have the shell. Or not.
Oh, guess not.
Huh? Well.
Too Good is going to 1v1 against Putin, and unfortunately Putin has this tank to hide behind, but it doesn't matter. 5100 just walks up, kills him. And the last two left are a Floppy Giraffe in the T-30, T-37, not going to be able to do that much. 3-0 for RUlette, and just showing dominating performance through this match series. Victoria's Secret trying to find an angle of attack, but it's every single move they make, there's a counter step from RUlette that's just able to shut them down very easily.
Yeah, I don't think Victoria's Secret is bringing out enough. They're not bringing something deep enough, something truly challenging enough that RUlette is thrown off. They're able to see all of this. They know what their opponent is doing by they're effectively telegraphing it.
Yeah.
and then respond.
Yeah, and it's really unfortunate. They seemed a little bit slow to the draw as well. I mean, just think of what the defenders got to do. They were able to push up all the way to the G line and then have crossfire onto, basically a moving target, right? They were just trying to get up tank alley, trying to really push up and be aggressive, but they weren't even able to do that. Victoria's Secret just a little bit slow to the draw, and because of RUlette's, I would say, just veteranness, they were able to just win off of very easy tanking, kill one tank, and then just play it and react.
Yeah, that was all it was.
Easy
I think Victoria's Secret, that cross you were talking about when they moved up the 8 line was a mistake.
Yeah.
Because straight up, you've got 2 nice open areas, like 20, 30 meters of open ground where your opponent has a clear shot across.
Yeah.
And they can make those connections. They're in the position to do so, but they call to go forward instead of maybe slowing it down and finding an alternate strategy or an alternate reaction. Just not happening there.
I agree. Well, we'll find out how Victoria's Secret adjusts. Right now, they are down 0-3, so they do need to start making up a couple of games here. Let's hop into the battle.
All right, looking at the tanks, 3 5100s, 2 IS-3s, a Waffentrager, and a T-37 for Victoria's Secret. For RUlette, 3 5100s, 3 IS-3s, single T-37. All right, no big differences here. We're going to see if they can make Tyler Durden do enough work again. I think that Tyler Durden is the kind of, he's what's going to win the battle for them. 1 or 2 good shells early on. All they have to do is connect, deal damage, and that's Victoria's Secret's ability to gain momentum and then go for their win. That's their strategy. RUlette just needs to do standard stuff.
Yeah. I feel like they don't really need to press the issue, but it looks like they are being a little bit aggressive, moving up the west side yet again, just protecting themselves against any really fast caps on the west.
And then opening scouting stuff, we've got the T-37s playing the flanks. Floppy Giraffe you can see as being more conservative now. And with that, he's not going to go quite as deep in his opening run. He's going to play it safer. Ideally, he's not going to be going much more aggressive for, I'd say, a minute or 2. You know? Do a few runs kind of like he's doing and just make that happen. See if this opponent is going to do anything rash or crazy.
Ooh, it looks like spots are up. Game is rigged, takes a big shot in the back of his butt. He's just going to be halted for the meantime and just swing around his turret. But it's going to be just a sniping wars for now. Wow, Tono actually takes a ton of damage, 765
That's just
hit points.
Tyler Durden. That's just him. That's what the Waffle's here for. Now you see?
Yeah.
Now.
A couple of good shots, and that's all. That's all it takes to kill an IS-3, honestly.
Yeah. 2 good rolls, I think, could do it. Usually it would take 2 and then maybe something else coming from. And there's another hit. That's 822 damage right down range. And then Rummy finishes it off. All right, Victoria's Secret is getting the situation they want. Tyler Durden is getting the hits, and they're getting the follow-up. This is the lead. This is it right here. RUlette has a chance of going down in this, but they are still bringing back some of that damage.
Yeah, they can't squander this right now. 5100s looks like they're going to meet up M-Pro and Soviet. They're clashing as the battle on the west side has kind of calmed down. No, it looks like M-Pro is just going to back up Soviet, looking for another way of entry. You know, this is a very tough situation. If you look at the hit points, they're actually a lot closer than you would think. 6.9K against 6.65K. It's not that different, but what is different is the potential DPM at this point. Removing that IS-3 is a very critical thing, and now that 5100s are going to be reloaded. Soviet walking into 2-3 tanks right now. Floppy Giraffe actually going to fight off with Yurkamolo, and Soviet taking way too much damage against M-Pro and the other 5100.
All right, that'll do it. I think that might just be it. This is where Victoria's Secret can get the momentum they need and start to follow this up and get their win. Disruption, though, goes into the open.
Down he goes.
Yeah, takes out Soviet. They lose a Floppy Giraffe, but they will now lose Disruption.
Yeah. M-Pro looks like he'll be able to get away. Nice shooting by this 5100 Valera Desolator. But, I mean, as soon as he's out, you can see the almost screen of all these tanks pushing on in. This is very difficult. Only this one IS-3 being played by Putin is left.
Tyler's down. They lost Tyler. He was able to pick up a kill before going down.
Oh,
Good
wow.
attempt by Too Good to body block, but that's not going to happen. And now I think the big damage deal for Victoria's Secret is down. And with that, I'm not as confident.
This got turned around very, very quickly. It looks like the west side has just been dropped by Victoria's Secret. Putin gotten some really good shots and was able to kill a couple of tanks there. And now just Too Good.
Yurkamolo's putting shells into some dude. You can see this. Look, he is incredibly low. 59 hit points.
Oh my god.
One good pen by Yurkamolo will get it.
That would be a travesty if that happened. Really, really unfortunate. Oh, looks like didn't need that.
Surprise, 5100 from the other side, and Too Good out in the open, also taking shells from Yurkamolo. This T-37 is doing some work. You can see it.
Yeah,
just,
minus 134. I mean, there's no... Wow, minus 244. Finally, he goes down. I mean, that really, really helps out. Now, Valera Desolator has been reloading this whole time. And he should be good to go pretty soon. They can just overmatch Too Good over here, as there's just way too many... Well, doesn't need to overmatch. You can just play the Sniping Wars and kill him. Emperor, the last 5100 remaining. This looks so good for Victoria's Secret. They were ahead about 3,000 or 2,000 hit points, and they just lost it in the engagement.
Yeah, I don't know how that came about. That was just a good response from RUlette and some risky decisions, which I think were way too risky for Victoria's Secret.
Yeah.
That's it.
There it is.
That's a
RUlette.
Sweep on Himmelsdorf.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And that's a map normally we don't see that happen. It's 2-2 just because of the features of Himmelsdorf in general. The urban maps make it much more difficult to really, I guess, discriminate your edge over some teams. Normally it's 55% at best, that you're getting, but it's very convincing with these two teams. Victoria's Secret just not able to keep up to the pressure.
Yeah, and taking a look at that last battle, the one that I thought Victoria's Secret had, it really did. Tyler Durden does 1,910, and that's with 3 shells that connect. Does his job. He could have done more, yes, but he was the one who got the lead. All of that damage is so early in the battle. It's before everything turned. That's him doing that. Everyone else, all of their damage is later. But Putin, Valera, 2,000 damage plus each. 2,500 on Putin, 2,400 on Valera. Those two kind of just get an MVP sticker for this battle.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
Everything they were doing was getting them the damage they needed, and that's what shut down Victoria's Secret. That's what shut down Disruption when he went overextended. That's what shut down Floppy Giraffe. That's everything.
Yeah, I mean, when Soviet was 2v1, I thought for sure it was nail in the coffin, and that's it. But there were a lot of little tiny shots that were able to get on those 5100s. Eliminated, for the most part, both of them. M-Pro was reloading basically the whole game, and then the other 5100 got eliminated very early. So that happened, and then the brawl on the west side, of course, losing. As you said, that Waffle Tiger was a big hit. Yeah. And from there, RUlette was able to take over. So really nice play. They're up 4-0, and we're now going to Prokhorovka, which is very different than Himmelsdorf, a much more open map. Let's go ahead and step into the game.
All right, looking at the tanks, we've got a 1390, 2 RU-251s, T-54 lightweights, and 2 M41 Walker Bulldogs for Victoria's Secret, who are the red team attacking. RUlette will begin on defense, and they have 2 1390s, 2 RU-251s, a T-54 lightweight, a T-49, and a T-37. So a very diverse lineup here.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the lightweights. Tell me what's their role in this upcoming fight?
So I've been thinking a lot about the T-54 lightweight because I don't think it's as good as the RU-251. It has some very niche situations in which it performs better, and those are generally hull down positions or something in which you're going to be fighting a little bit more heat, and you're one of those... Oh, never mind.
Hopefully they're really good at brawls, because that's what we're going to have right now, just an all-out brawl in the center. Meeting up in the... Right now, Rummy gets immediately eliminated. Wow.
And then we have the group coming in. Soviet will be focused next by Victoria's Secret. They're going to take him down, and that's what it's going to be, back and forth. Both of these teams, who's better at focus fire? M-Pro and Too Good are both incredibly low right now. Valera Desolator goes down right after Too Good and M-Pro. Then we have next Putin is low, Tyler Durden looks to be the focus, or they'll switch it to Disruption. But right now, RUlette is getting very split apart, and they're not able to put that focus fire on. Victoria's Secret may be able to bring this back if they can recover their focus.
But at the same time, they weren't together, but they had a good concave on everybody. So you had guns that were just trying to move all over the place and not able to get their targets as certain tanks, the 1390s, were moving away. Now this T-54 lightweight is able to clear Tyler Durden, and a floppy giraffe gets eliminated as well, and a very quick win for RUlette. I completely agree with you. There was a time where, you know, everybody was split up from RUlette and they weren't able to see their sights completely well, but it just looks like they were able to just out-tank. They were better tankers in general.
They had more
RUlette.
tanks at the end of it. They were able to split apart. I kind of thought that there was a moment when I made my statement that I thought, all right, there's 3 tanks alive. They can recover. Victoria's Secret can recover in this because I see guns, various guns from RUlette starting to look different directions and people going in different directions. But they started this out really well. Victoria's Secret, you can see 5 tanks moving in, focusing well. They take down immediately Soviet. Good job there. Then they start to split their damage tanks up, which is a good play to kind of bring guns from RUlette into confused positions, because normally lowest tank is your focus. It's automatic unless called otherwise. It's most teams and the way they will engage.
But if you look at this, I mean, they're getting the good surround on their opponents. I mean, Victoria's Secret was always in a position where they're like, oh, who's my next opponent? It's not very clear. And if what they conveyed to us before was that you know, they haven't been really practicing together, that's a big influence on those team battles. I mean, if you're not playing with your teammates for a very long time, or at least have a couple of practice games in beforehand, it's going to be very hard to complete those brawls successfully and get the right amount of shots. Because if you overkill a single tank, that's a big amount of wasted damage that needs to be allocated towards another dead tank.
I completely agree. This not the best brawling situation on one side, few interesting brawling situations here. I'm looking at an update real quick. I was 5-1, simply irresistible, overtimed out is what I'm being told right now.
Yep.
So that is, any surprise in that score for you? Did you predict anything otherwise?
I don't think so. I
Okay.
mean, yeah, it's maybe how one-sided it was. I mean, 5-1 is pretty decisive. But in general, I mean, I think Simply Irresistible it's another sim team, man.
Okay, that's fair enough. Simply Irresistible, though, is a team that I'm still really unsure about. So we'll have to see. I'll take a look at the replays and I'll try and get a better understanding of what happened in that match.
I mean, when you have a team like Simp, I'm not talking about Simp main, which is going to be our next matchup, but when you have a team like the clan Simp, there's a lot of people to talk to, and especially about this with this format, we have Simple Tanker, Simp, and now Simply Irresistible. I mean, there's a lot of communication that can be told to each other. So I feel like it's always a big advantage to have those 3 teams together and communicating.
No, I certainly agree with that. We've seen strategies that Simple Tankers, and Simply Irresistible have all employed with slight variations for their style.
Exactly. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is our 3rd matchup of tonight. We have Simp versus Noble, which is probably the marquee matchup of the night. You cannot miss it. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, the conclusion of WGLNA today. Don't go anywhere.